Bushwin, New Money Fight Club. I'm out here with John King, legendary color commentator, and also family to Judo Gene LaBelle. Now, me, I did judo in college. I mean, I wrestled too, but I did judo in college, took 30 nationals, and I'm very curious to hear about Judo Gene LaBelle and your connection to him. You know,
sure. When I first moved out here, like 2009, I owned a website called The Clinch Report, and I was writing stories about MMA fighters and constantly going to MMA shows. And I met Gene, and we hit it off right away. And he basically said, "Don't call me Mr. LaBelle. I'm Uncle Gene. And you're going to be
dope.
My nephew." And that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that's dope. If people don't know who Judo Gene LaBelle is, he was actually the first ever American to fight an MMA fight representing judo, and he won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What, against a boxer, correct?
Yeah, Milo Savage, I believe it was 1963. Milo Savage, in Milo Savage's hometown, there was Ed Parker put an ad in Black Belt magazine saying that no judoka could stand with a boxer and in a fight. Gene answered the call, and Milo was supposed to be wearing a judo gi, but he wore a karate gi instead, which is, as you know, a lot thinner and it's much tougher to get a hold of. Yeah. And he also greased. So for the first 3 rounds, Gene couldn't get a hold of him. But when he finally got a hold of him, he threw an Uchimata, landed inside control, put him in a head choke, and put him out. Now, the boxing fans in Milo Savage's hometown, they actually thought Gene killed him because he wasn't moving and they had never seen anything like that. So they started throwing chairs. Gene had to be escorted out. A guy tried to stab him when he was leaving the arena. He tried to get stabbed. So yeah, Uncle Gene's been through a lot of stuff, and he was my biggest fan, and I miss him tremendously.
Oh, I wish I would have met him. You know what I mean? I met like a Grandmaster Al Novak, Dukachi Kempo, and a couple other people. That was somebody I always wanted to meet. And so when he passed, that hurt me. That was like someone I always wanted to meet and I never got to meet.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people don't know this. So if you watched it, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that scene where Cliff Booth beat up Bruce Lee was based on him.
Yep.
Hey, can you tell me about that story?
Yeah, well, apparently Bruce wanted to learn the ground game. And Gene always said he was very humble, but there were times when Gene would have to, get a hold of him and show him a choke. And if you don't tap, you take a nap. And unfortunately for Bruce, a couple times I think he went to sleep.
Oh, yeah. And especially Steven Seagal. You tell us about that funny story?
Oh, gosh. Well, if Uncle Gene was still alive, he would say, Steven Seagal is a fine martial artist and a wonderful human being. And he'd say that because he'd been sued by Steven Seagal for the story that he told. The story that Gene told me was Steven was very nasty to the people that worked on the set. And a lot of people were chirping like to Gene, he's such a jerk. And especially the wardrobe girls, they said they had a hard time with him because he was always hitting on them and stuff like that. And apparently the story goes, he told Gene that Aikido could beat judo anytime. And he asked Gene to put him in a chokehold, and he was going to show him how he got out of it. So Gene put him in a chokehold, and Seagal tried to chop him in the groin area, and Gene just rotated his hip. And a couple seconds later, Mr. Seagal lost consciousness and also lost control of his bowels. And according to the wardrobe lady, not only thank you very much for doing what you did, I just wanted to let you know that he soiled himself when you put him down on the ground. So Steven Seagal, this is Jonathan King. You can come find me anytime you want, big guy. You talk bad about my Uncle Gene, and you and I will have an issue. I got a broken neck, but I'll still kick your ass.
I love that. Hey, you're straight. You're a gangster, man. I'd like to be honest with you. It's an honor. I definitely would love to pick your brain after this. But,
anytime, man. I thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yes. New Money Fight Club. That was dope as fuck. Stay tuned.